girlfriend of a Boston police officer whose body was found
in the murder trial of Karen Reed after the jury said it was unable to
they
reach
will
a
retry
verdict.
Karen Reed
is
after a
accused
judge
of
declared a
Welcome back, alternates. It's day 25 of the Karen Reed retrial, and I am your host, Tabitha. Before we dive in, I just want to say thank you for finding us and supporting us. It really means the world to us. And if you know somebody that is interested in the Karen Reed retrial, please share this podcast with them. The more eyes and ears we get on this trial, the better. Let's pick up where we left off on day 24. The court ended with a voir dire to determine if text messages from Trooper Proctor in this group chat were going to be admitted into evidence. Well, Judge Canoni ruled that yes, some of those text messages would be allowed. So we kicked off day 25 with Jonathan Demantis, one of Proctor's longtime friends. And when I say long time, I mean since 6th grade. He's been in a group text thread with Proctor and their high school buddies for over a decade. And these guys in the last 2 years have sent over 38,000 text messages. Oh my gosh, you guys, I don't even think I have that many text messages with my girlfriends in like all the text threads that I have. It's like mind blowing. Okay. Demantis explained that some guys in this group chat have nicknames and Proctor's, well, his are Chip and Bear. I don't know. Doesn't make sense, but we'll go with it. Okay. Now, Attorney Iannetti did the direct examination, and he was very gentle. He never made Demantis read any of these text messages aloud. He simply just asked if he knew that Proctor had been fired because of these text messages, and he confirmed he did. He also insinuated that these texts were inappropriate and, it was a partial reason for the firing. And Demantis said he did know that. But you know who did dig into these text messages was the prosecution. What? Let me tell you, this was such a surprise to me. I couldn't believe it. I actually was cleaning my house, like listening to this case on my earbud, and I had to stop what I was doing, go to the television, and see with my own eyes that it was Brennan that was actually questioning because I just couldn't believe what I was hearing. So Brennan's cross. Well, he had Demantis read these text messages from January 29th to February 2nd. And let me tell you, it got uncomfortable really fast.
What does one of the group respond with?
Gotcha.
Mr. Proctor?
Couldn't open it either.
Do you know what he was talking about when he said he couldn't open it?
I'm guessing the Facebook link.
I'd like you to turn forward to bottom right, 3-1. Do you see what that is?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
John O'Keefe's Facebook page.
What does it tell us about John O'Keefe?
He went to Braintree High School, studied criminal justice at Northeastern, joined Facebook in 2008.
Turn the page, please. The first line from Bird, and I'll note this is January 29, 2022 at 10:56:39 p.m. Did I read that accurately?
Yes.
And what does the person say?
I'm sure the owner of the house will receive some shit.
And could you read Mr. Proctor's two responses?
Nope. A homeowner is a Boston cop too. She waffled him. I looked at his body at the hospital.
And one of the group asks a question.
She waffled him, in quotation marks.
And how does he respond?
He was banged up.
Somebody in the group asks another question. What do they ask?
I thought he was drunk. Did he get beat up?
And Mr. Proctor's response?
Nope. So the owner of the house was a woman cop that beat him?
And Mr. Proctor's two responses?
That's what I initially thought after talking to Canton paramedic. Then I saw the guy.
One of the group asks further down, what does, quote, she waffled him, quote, end quote, mean? And then asks, what's the story? Does Mr. Proctor return?
He does.
What does he say?
She hit him with her car.
The person by the name of Bird asks a question. What does he ask? Or what does he say?
Okay, that's fucked up.
How does Mr. Proctor respond?
Intentional or not?
Then somebody in the group again.
Gotcha, he was frozen in the driveway and she didn't see him.
And Mr. Proctor's two responses.
That's another animal we won't be able to prove.
And the next one.
They arrived at the house together, got into an argument. She was driving and left.
What does the friend say?
What's the name of the Canton cop living in Canton? The other one involved.
What does Mr. Proctor say?
Biffed him. But I assume you guys are out to make it cut and dry since it involves cops?
Next comment by Bird.
Something stinks.
And the comment by Mr. Proctor.
Yeah, but there will be some serious charges brought on the girl.
And the beginning of the next sentence is gotta be. And finally, the last comment on that page.
She hot at least.
Then came the worst of the text messages, and Demantis was not having it. He asked if he could not read them aloud, and he looked like he wanted to melt onto the floor. And honestly, I don't blame him. He never responded to any of those text messages. He was just on the text thread. He never had any part of this text message. And his face just looked defeated. And let me tell you, this guy, and it's a total side note, but he is a cutie patootie. So after a sidebar that was called real quick, Judge Canoni did decide that Brennan could read these text messages aloud himself, and Demantis would just confirm of their existence. And what were these text messages? Well, brace yourself, because Proctor goes on to call Karen Reed a whack job. He says also that she's a see you next Tuesday, and in Brennan's words, that is the C word. He then goes on to comment on her appearance, saying, yeah, she's a babe, weird Fall River accent though, and no ass. And then he says there's 0 chances of her skating. She's fucked. Yikes. He even made fun of her medical condition because you remember Karen has MS. And after he was finished with these text messages, Brennan went straight in to Demantis and asked if he was still friends with Proctor, to which he says yes. He then asked if Proctor has ever discussed planting or tampering evidence, and Demantis says no, never. I mean, this guy for sure is his friend and wanted no part in being there on the stand that morning. On redirect, Yannetti asked if the information Proctor shared on the thread was public at the time that he shared it, and Demantis said he wasn't sure. Demantis also said he really knew nothing about Karen Reed or the case or those text messages when they were sent. It was such a strange moment in the court because you're like, where does this guy come in? He really has no stake in this case, but he's dragged in to validate some really crude, inappropriate text messages that he didn't even respond to. He looked embarrassed, like this wasn't his kind of loyalty he signed up for. And I think it gives the jury a lot to think about in terms of the culture that surrounded this investigation. Next up, we met Officer Kelly Dever. Don't call her Deaver. She does not like that. Now, this witness, she is a bit of a mystery. She's a former Canton PD officer and now Boston PD officer. And right away, she made it known that she did not want to testify. She wanted nothing to do with being there. And she says she didn't even know why she was being called now because she wasn't called in the first trial. She was very defensive, irritated, and I would say maybe even a hostile witness. She was working patrol the morning of John O'Keefe's death for the Canton PD, and so she did get the 911 call. So I do think she does have a place here. And when the 911 call came in, she was sitting in her patrol car and was called in to sit now at the dispatch desk instead of responding to the call. She also took over for the next shift and stayed for the overtime shift, which would be the day after, which is something to note. Jackson asked her if she had access to the Sallyport garage video feed that night, and she did not want to say that she saw video. I don't know why girlfriend just wouldn't say it. She was like, it was 2 years ago. I don't know if I know they had cameras because like everywhere has cameras, but I don't know if I saw them. And then finally she was like, yes, I saw video footage from Sallyport, because she's sitting at dispatch. Of course she can see it. Like, she just didn't want to say that she could. So once she finally did admit that she did see the video, she was asked if she saw anything unusual, and she said no. But, and this is a big but, in August of 2023, she did an interview with law enforcement, not Canton PD law enforcement, another law enforcement that we really never get to really know the details, but I'm going to tell you, I think it was with the FBI. And Dever told these investigators that she did see Higgins and Berkowitz enter the Sallyport alone and with Karen's SUV. And she said, in quotes, a wildly long time. Well, yikes. Now, she has since recanted her statement after she was shown a timestamp of when the car came in, and she said she wasn't working that late or she wouldn't have been able to see it. So she says, I must have fabricated that story from my bad memory, and in good faith, I am recanting because that's not what happened. I cannot give this woman's testimony justice by telling you, so I am going to insert her testimony here. It is a little long, so bear with me, but I want you to decide how you feel about this witness.
Have you ever heard of something called the blue wall of silence?
Objection.
Sustained.
Do you think it's important for police officers to protect one another in the field and out?
Objection.
Sustained.
Have you spoken with anyone, not Mr. Brennan, he's covered that, you spoken with anyone from the district attorney's office about your involvement in this case? Ever?
No.
Never?
Unless you're going to provide a person. I've never talked to any of these people.
Have you talked to anyone at the DA's office at all, in any regard?
Not to my recollection.
How about indirectly?
Not to my knowledge.
Are you friends with any people that you're aware of that are connected to this case? Are you personal friends, girlfriends, boyfriends, personal friends with anyone that's connected with this case?
Other people who's been on the witness stand, one person, yes.
Who's that?
Sarah Levinson.
How long have you known Sarah?
We became friends in middle school.
Did you watch any of the trial, this trial?
Clips in passing, but no, it's 6 hours a day. So I work during the day shift, no.
So you've seen some of the footage of the goings-on in this case, correct?
Yes, nothing with her. I did not watch her testimony.
Were you aware there was a sequestration order?
I don't know what that means, so no.
You're a sworn peace officer. You don't know what sequestration means
No.
in terms of witnesses? Not
No.
watching the proceedings in order to affect their testimony?
No, I wasn't aware.
But you did tune in to the case, correct?
In small clips, yes.
And you did, in fact, on August 9th, 2023, have a fulsome conversation with two sworn police officers about your memory of what you saw, your observations on January 29th, 2022, correct?
I don't know if they're police officers necessarily, but yes.
Law enforcement agents, how about that?
Yes.
And that conversation is reflected in this piece of paper that I just read to you, correct?
Yes.
Thanks. That's all I have.
Okay.
Were you subpoenaed by the Commonwealth in this case?
No.
You were subpoenaed by the defense.
Yes.
Did they tell you that there was a sequestration order or that you shouldn't watch any of the footage? Did they fairly inform you about what the ground rules were?
No, and I wasn't part of the first trial, so I had no idea about anything to do with this trial.
When you spoke to those law enforcement officers back in 2023, do you know that they made a report where you had informed them that you knew Sarah Levinson and that report had been provided to the defense a long time ago? Did you know that?
Yes, I informed them very clearly.
So the question about if you know Sarah Levinson, that's no secret in your world, is it?
In that form, I'll sustain it.
That isn't a secret, is it?
Not at all.
That's something you were open and candid about?
Yes.
You understand that regardless of what you say, it doesn't matter as long as it's the truth. Do you understand that?
Yes.
The Commonwealth in no way is asking you to accommodate it or please it in any way. Do you understand that?
Yes.
If there was something that may be perceived by others as adverse to the Commonwealth, you understand we would want you to tell that if it was the truth, don't you?
Sustained.
You understand, well, the Commonwealth has never intimated, suggested, or advised you to say anything other than the truth, have they?
No.
Have you been given any consideration or reward because you remedied your memory?
No.
After being shown the evidence that you left that day, January 29, 2022 at 3:45, and learning that the defendant's car did not get to the Sallyport at 5:30 or so p.m., is there any way you could have seen Mr. Berkowitz and Mr. Higgins in the Sallyport with the defendant's car that night before you left for work?
There is no way.
Understanding you made a mistake, was the defense receptive to your explanation that you made a mistake?
Objection.
Sustained in that form.
Did the defense pressure you when you told them you were going to come into this court and tell the truth about your mistake?
Objection.
No, allow it.
Can you rephrase it?
Yes. When you told the defense you had made a mistake about your memory, did they pressure you?
Yes.
Did they pressure you to say something other than the truth?
Yes, they wanted me to repeat a lie at that point, given it would have been with malicious intent to repeat it.
Understanding a lawyer has no power to charge with contempt, does that change the reality of whether or not you were threatened? Let me ask it a different way. You were asked questions about whether or not you knew who could take out charges for a crime. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Regardless of whether an attorney has that power, were you threatened that there would be a charge of perjury if you didn't comply with the defense wishes in this case?
Yes.
And knowing you were going to come into court, given this experience you had with the defense, is that why you felt like they were going to tear you? Is that the phrase we used?
Yes, because they did not want me to tell the truth. So I told them that knowing they were kind of trying to eat me alive into repeating something that is not the truth.
Rather than to come in here and be attacked, wouldn't it have been easier just to said what you had earlier thought was true?
Objection.
I'm going to allow that.
Wouldn't it be easier just to come in and accommodate them rather than be threatened?
Well, of course.
So why did you come in here?
My entire job revolves around what I say on the stand right now. If I was to lie, I lose my job. I lose everything. I'm here to tell the truth. I cannot lie while sitting on this stand.
Thank you.
One question.
Okay.
Your entire job revolves around what you say on the witness stand. Is that what you just testified to?
Yes.
And if you agree that what you said to those two law enforcement agents on August 9th, 2023, you would be implicating not one, but two police officers, law enforcement officers, correct? If you agreed with what you said in August of 2023 on this witness stand, you would be implicating two officers, fellow officers, correct?
So I'm confused as to what you're asking.
You would be implicating, if you agreed with me, you have not agreed that that was the truth. You've now indicated that what you told to law enforcement agents in August of 2023 was a lie.
No.
If you agreed with that statement here on the witness stand, you would be implicating two officers as having been in the Sally Port, weirdly, for a wildly long time with the SUV, implicating not one, but two fellow officers, correct? That's what you would be doing.
It's not possible I saw
If
that.
you agreed with
Objection.
me, would you be implicating the reputations of two officers?
If I was to lie, then yes.
And your entire job revolves around what you say on that witness stand. That's what you said, correct?
I'm still,
That's what you just said, Officer Dever, correct?
I still don't really understand the question.
You just said, all I'm asking you is what you just said. I wrote it down. You just said, my entire job revolves around what I say on the witness stand, correct?
Yes to that
Thank
question.
you. That's all I have.
I'm confused. When you spoke to those agents, you didn't implicate Chief Berkowitz and Mr. Higgins with doing anything criminal, did you?
No, they were friends. That's why Higgins had an office there.
You didn't implicate them ever suggesting they had tampered with evidence, did you?
No.
You never implicated them saying that they had framed anybody, did you?
No.
So when you talked to those agents, did you ever suggest that Mr. Higgins and Mr. Berkowitz did anything to touch or tamper with the defendant's Lexus at all?
No.
Never.
No.
Is there anybody you're protecting?
I have no one to protect.
Do you need to protect anybody?
No.
All right, Officer Deborah, you are awesome.
Now, right now, like right this second, drop a comment with your thoughts if you are listening on Spotify or YouTube. I need to know. I seriously need to know. So please let us know in the comments. And then finally, the last witness of the day, Dr. Marie Russell. Let me paint you a picture of Dr. Russell. Think of a smart, tough grandma with a resume that spans amazingness. She was an ER doctor. She worked in prison medicine. She's a forensic pathologist. She was a medical examiner. And if that's not enough, you guys, she was a cop for 7 years before becoming a doctor. She's a literal powerhouse. She has dealt with over 500 dog bites, and she's being conservative with her answers here in her career. And about 60 of those, she says, were severe. She has also seen many, many, many vehicle trauma cases. And so how did this lady get involved? Well, she read about the Karen Reed case in a newspaper article before the first trial. And with her rare expertise in dog bites, she knew that she had something to offer. So she reached out to the Los Angeles DA, who then helped her get in touch with Canton. She claims she saw a gap in this investigation and she knew that she could fill it. Alessi showed her photos of John O'Keefe's injuries, and she confidently said that this looks like a dog bite and dog scratches, not injuries from being hit by a car. They also reviewed O'Keefe's sweatshirt, and this is where I really I was waiting to see this exhibit, because there are round holes in the arm of his sweatshirt. Dr. Russell said those holes matched canine teeth or claws going in and like snagging the fabric and pulling them out. I'm telling you, they were very, very round holes. And honestly, this does make a lot of sense. She also made great points about trauma patterns, that dog bites have very specific imprints and a repetitive arc based on their jaw structure. And some of these wounds she reviewed on John's body reflected that kind of pattern. But let me tell you, Brennan wasn't having any of it. He grilled her on cross for never testifying in court before Karen Reed's trial, like ever. He accused her of inserting herself because of the media hype, and she calmly responded. I'm pretty proud of her because I think he went in hard. And she said, I'm retired and I had time and I have the expertise. So now that I'm retired, I can do this job. I can go on court cases and whatnot because I'm not in the emergency room. Hello. I mean, she didn't say it like that. I'm saying it like that. He tried to discredit her by suggesting that she was using the trial photos for self-promotion, and she kind of just laughed it off, explaining, yes, I'm using a photo from the trial, from last trial, as a picture on a job listing site. But she's like, but it's a job listing site. He also questioned her on the status of her dog bite expertise, to which she pointed out there's not really any formal certification for that, like anywhere. And finally, Brennan pressed her whether she was now more certain in her testimony than before. And she said she has always believed that these injuries involved a dog attack, but emphasized in medicine, nothing is 100%. And we are trained never to say 100%. Well, Bev was tired, so she called it a day before Brennan could finish up on his cross. So we'll pick up with Dr. Russell again tomorrow. And that was day 25, alternates. This episode had a lot in it. These group chats, these reluctant cops, oh my gosh, tearing my hair out with her, dog bites, and a lot of sass. So let me know what you think of today's witnesses. I'd love to know in our comments or on our DMs, or follow us on any social platform at The Alternate Pod. And I will see you tomorrow for day 26.